Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer video for you. Today we're going to do that what is style as well as a beer dissection. So the what is style is going to be called Berliner Weisse, which I'll get into a little bit more in a second. And the beer dissection is going to be from Big Slide Brewery, Berliner Weisse. My other videos, if you haven't seen them yet, I discuss Lake Placid Pub and Brewery, who's kind of the mothership brewery up in Lake Placid, and Big Slide, which is a couple of miles down the road or so, is their kind of, I call it their sister brewery. They may not call it that, but, and then they have actually another brewery coming out, I believe the fall, winter of 2023, depending on when you're watching this video, in Saranac Lake. So what we're going to talk about is, first of all, Berliner Weisse. Now, Berliner Weisse is a sour, acidic, wheat-style beer. It's going to kind of pour like wit beer, maybe even like some of your Hefeweizens. And the big thing with this beer, it's going to have a lactic acidity to it because they're going to be using lactobacillus in the beer. They usually kettle sour it, which means after they kind of do the mash, they'll put the lactobacillus in there, let it sour for a little while, then they'll continue with the boil. This style's been around 17th century or so. Napoleon's troops used to call it the champagne of the North because it is going to have that kind of lighter body, doughy, effervescent, almost like a champagne style. And, you know, a lot of times in Germany, it is a regional specialty there in Berlin. However, I was told in doing some diving a little bit into the history and some historians is that it's not as common. If you do live, I think I have someone that lives in Berlin on my Facebook friends. By all means, if you tell me this is a prevalent style still these days, please let me know. But it did originate in Berlin, hence the term Berliner Weisse. The style itself is about low alcohol. It's usually 2.8 to 3.8%. The one I have today is about 4.8% alcohol. Which, again, that's the American way. We always have a little more alcohol, a little bit more, substance to the beer. But the traditional style is a lower alcohol by volume percentage, 2.8 to 3.8%. Like I said, it is going to be using usually Pilsner malt. It's going to use, again, the lactobacillus. It's going to have at least about 50 to 75% wheat malt in it. Hence, it is a wheat beer. And it's usually not heavily hopped, and there's a couple of reasons. One, just for the style, and two, is heavily hopped beers kind of attack the lactobacillus, so it kind of becomes counterproductive. So you don't want a highly bitter, highly hopped beer because it's going to kind of subdue the lactobacillus and kind of kill it off. Because again, we do learn that hop beers will be a preservative, and that's one reason why they used them for IPAs back in English times in the 1700s. But again, we're not going to go down that wormhole right now. So again, 1809, it was when Napoleon's troops did that, called it the Northern Champagne of the North, I should say. But it's going to be a light, acidic. It's going to, like a lot of lactic beers, it's going to kind of give you that citrus type of aroma, flavor, almost like a lemony type of flavor. But again, Pilsner malt, lactobacillus, it is going to be a sour beer. Now, with the popularity of sour beers these days, this is kind of the originator of it, I guess, if you want to call that, along with wit beers and goses. A gose is going to have more coriander and salt with it. Wit beer we've covered is more coriander and orange peel. A gose is a sour beer. This is going to be a little bit of a sour beer. It's going to be pale straw. Going to kind of give you that doughy type of wheat malt character. This is a type of beer that I call the canvas, or a lot of people call the canvas for other things in Germany, as well as a lot of microbreweries in the United States. They will back sweeten this or put fruit in it. Elderberry, they'll use raspberry, and even woodruff syrup they'll use, which is like herb, sweet, honey-like type of earthy herb that they'll use to put into this beer at a lot of places. I believe when I was at Big Slide Brewery, which is where this is from, I don't recall what they actually put in it, but you can get different fruits added to it. I don't recall specifically what they're using. So other than that, that's just a little history on it, Berliner Weisse. So if you're into sour beers, this is something you need to check out. So I'm going to try to open this up here in just a second. Again, I don't have the hop specs, but this one is going to be 4.8. It's actually 9 IBUs for this big slide brewery. When again, they want to keep it lower because of the lactobacillus that's in it, okay, to make it sour. All right, so let's crack this bad boy open. We got a rainy day here on Long Island. Okay. And again, I got my kind of oversized tulip glass, which again, I always seem to gravitate towards. I'm going to pour this in here. Yeah, and it's looking like I'm pouring champagne. I did a video on styles of beer around the holidays to use. This would be another one I would add to kind of your replacement for like a champagne or Asti, even though it's going to have that tart bitterness to it. So take a look at it. Beautiful head there, white frothy head, about almost 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And again, I've been pouring more aggressively these days. Kind of a light gold, little darker straw kind of color. So let's take a whiff of this. Yeah, so I kind of get that fruity, probably from the Pilsner malt, the fruitiness from the lactobacillus, lemony kind of smell to it. Almost gives you kind of like a tart apple smell to it. In Germany, Brettanomyces is something that has been classically used. I don't believe they use it in this one today. Brettanomyces is going to give you kind of that horse blanket barnyard, kind of used in Orval a lot and some other Belgian styles. Flanders Red, I think, has a little bit of it in there too. But this kind of gives you definitely citrusy. I kind of get that wheat bread, white bread, water cracker type of aroma from the malt. But definitely that kind of light, fruity, estery, lemony type of aroma. Most likely probably from the lactobacillus being used. But again, this should not be vinegary either, okay, acetic acid. Okay, like some of your other sour beers, especially in some Belgian styles. Okay, but definitely that tart apple lemon. Okay, let's take a drink of it. Cheers. Oh yeah. Like a normal acidity, different than bitterness. Remember, bitterness you'll put on the tongue. I've said this a few times in videos. You'll hit the back of your tongue and let it sit there for 30, 40 seconds. You kind of get hit with the bitterness. The acidity from a lactobacillus is going to hit you kind of right away, okay, on your taste buds. This is very refreshing though. So this is what the acidity does in this beer. It kind of hits you on the front of your tongue and then quickly fleets away, which I prefer. Kind of hits you with the acidity from the lactobacillus, kind of dives out. You get that lemony, highly effervescent, again, very big palate cleansing type of beer with the acidity, very low bitterness, which as we said below, I said this one's about 9 IBUs. You want it low because of lactic acid in it. So again, kind of like a tart apple, lemon. You get the Pilsner malt, which is good. So there is some balance here. It's not all acidity. The Pilsner malt, the wheat, okay, as I sit on my tongue. But I can see this does taste, I can see why they called it the champagne of the North. The French soldiers did, obviously, with Napoleon. But you get that doughiness. This is not fruit. We don't have elderberry. We don't have raspberry or woodruff syrup in this. So, but if you wanted to use it, but you can see it almost looks like champagne. This is very nice. I maybe should have added this to my holiday one. If you wanted to use this for champagne, what else we want to use? Asti Spumante, put some fruit in it. That's great. I'm not a big one of adding fruit to my beer. I would just, personally, I'll probably drink the rest of this plain. I'm not putting any fruit in it at all, but it gives you that fruity, acidic tartness that you would get from lactobacillus from it. Now, it has a dry finish to it, which is great. You know, like I said, the acidity hits you and then kind of goes away. There's not much, you know, you get a little bit of that weedy aftertaste maybe, but again, that acidity kind of goes away. It's not like you're sitting there like a tart bomb and, you know, cringing when you're putting like a lemon in your mouth. It's definitely not that. Things I would use to kind of pair this with is probably, you know, shellfish, light seafood, white fishes that you're not, you know, putting a lot of heavy sauces into. So maybe like flounder, cod, you know, maybe braised, you know, not really caramelized and not probably anything battered. I'd probably go a little heavier with like a brown ale if it was battered. With this, if it was clams on the half shell, shrimp dishes that were kind of lightly seasoned, even oysters, but white fishes would be nice. Something very light, maybe like a braised chicken dish. Nothing with too much Maillard reaction because it would probably overpower a beer like this. But it has enough acidity to kind of cut through some fatty, you know, lightly fatty dishes. But, you know, scallops, you know, light seafood, shellfish dishes would be really good with this. But again, if you're a lover of sour beers, this is one of the true styles. You know, Gosa, which I haven't done a video on there, that one's a sour beer too that uses coriander and salt in it. This one with the Berliner Weisse is just more acidity, weedy, you know, bready type of Pilsner malt with it. And yeah, as you can see again, you know, kind of looks like champagne. So again, guys, you know, with this beer, if you're up in the Lake Placid area, I always recommend, you know, we missed our trip this year. Lake Placid Brewing Company may have this. You can buy the crowlers. I had a bunch of beers shipped. I'm going to be doing videos on the Ubu Ale, probably maple porter, and I did a video on the alt beer style also. But check them out. Check out Big Slide Brewery, and again, down the road in 2023, I believe the Saranac Brewery from the same owners is going to be opening up. But this is definitely, if you see Berliner Weisse in your microbreweries and you are a person that likes sour beers, I would check out Berliner Weisse. It's not brewed, like I said, as often. Even in Germany, I was told that in Berlin, it's not even brewed as much in northern Germany. And I think the Hamburg area, I think it is known for brewing this also. But it's a lactic acid wheat beer. Again, something to check out if you see it on your board. So again, hopefully you guys enjoy a little bit of the history, a little bit about the beer style. This is very nice. When I end this video, I'm going to finish this style off. I had this up in, I think last year up there. We haven't got our usual trips up there, but something to take a look at. Lake Placid Pub and Brewery, Big Slide Brewery, Berliner Weisse, sour wheat beer. You see it at your local home brewery. If it's not even up in Lake Placid, please check it out. All right, guys, until next time, have a great day, and you know, I got more beers coming up for you. Take care. Bye-bye.